All right. Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers
to the start
Hello,
of
everyone.
another road trip.
Wait a minute. Hang on. We did make eye contact.
Oh, yes. Make eye contact.
Are you all about the eye contact?
Hey, I mean, I'm superstitious.
No wonder why you're
That's what it is.
a very successful everything man. We'll get to that in a minute. But welcome into another edition of Road Tripping with RJ and Channing. I'm your host, Allie Clifton, and the governor and president of the Denver Nuggets, the Colorado Avalanche, Josh Kroenke, is with us.
Hello, Joshua.
Crunk dog.
What's up, everyone?
What's up, boy?
Let's just get it out of the
This
way.
is gonna be
People are probably like, how in the world are
How
us
do we get an appointment
three amigos
with Mr. Governor Josh Kroenke?
with you?
I don't know. I don't know if they're probably more curious as to how I'm even in this room with you. I don't want to say clowns.
This commoner room.
But
how
that's
you're in
appropriate.
this common room
Yeah.
with us simple folk.
How is that?
So what? How we all know each other?
Well,
Yeah.
as I
How do
understood
I-
you and Richard.
Yeah. I mean,
Start from the beginning.
start from
Oh,
the
jeez.
beginning. Oh, geez.
Started-
Well, let me first say this. I've been getting a bad rap the last couple of weeks where people are just saying that I'm really mean to Channing. So I'm gonna try and turn over a new leaf, and everything that Channing says that is really intelligent, we're gonna highlight that.
Okay.
So go ahead, Channing. Start the interview.
Channing.
Yes.
Richard is mean though.
It's just, he's so
We
mean.
know this.
I think the thing is that Richard is just not open to other people's ideas.
Yeah.
And he needs to be able to communicate his feelings in a productive way so that we can all accomplish our
Wait,
goals.
Richard
as a
doesn't
team.
communicate? You're
I
lying.
over-communicates.
Okay, thank you.
Over-communicates.
I channel any
just
frustration
dabbed. We
I
just
have
dabbed.
to the basketball floor.
Oh, my God.
Does that
Sometimes
surprise
when
you?
there should be a filter, there's actually not.
No.
And
Right.
Zero filter.
So me and Josh,
Josh and I.
See, I'm
That's that Missouri
I'm the
education.
asshole, and I
Thank God I didn't go to Arizona.
Yeah, you would still be there right now.
wow, everyone's a comedian today. So Josh and I,
Thank you.
we met because his roommate in college and my roommate in college were both teammates on the Lakers. Josh, some people might not know this, or the Cleveland Cavalier fans might not know this, but Josh played basketball at the University of Missouri.
Not a lot of people know that. It's quite all right.
Okay, well, no one knows this,
It was,
but don't. Josh played basketball at the University of Missouri, and his roommate was Kareem Rush, and they were Kareem and Luke were really, really good friends when they played together for the Lakers. So me and Josh met because the Nets were out, so I think we were was it the finals?
No, yeah, the first time we met was at the finals. It was 2004.
Yeah, and you were moving to
Yeah.
New York shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
So you moved to New York. I was going back out there. So friends of friend, that's pretty much how it was. And then what happened, and where I think we truly bonded, I had just signed my large contract with the Nets.
Yeah.
I had just moved into Tribeca before Jay-Z was singing about it. And
You
then
so
I
cool.
then I tore my wrist up.
Yeah.
Toe it up.
I tore my wrist up.
I had moved to New York. I just graduated from the University of Missouri, finished playing, and didn't know what I wanted to do. But because I was in basketball, and I was at one point very dedicated to basketball, I guess.
Oh, man.
I decided to move to New York, and I did an internship with the NBA League office, and it was a wonderful experience. And then Richard, geez
Party
Louise.
foul.
For anybody that can't, oh, man, Richard just spilled red wine. Oh, Richard.
Opening it up, though.
Opening
like,
it.
Not
I
even
mean,
pouring
you
it
know what?
or-
Honestly,
They talk about basketball players hand-eye, but that was yowza.
I am not good at multitasking. And
No.
so I was
Oh,
trying
no.
to focus
No,
and do this quickly. It just didn't work out well.
Yeah.
No.
I had someone
That's
tell me
what they
today
all
earlier
say.
that just in general men are not good at multitasking.
No,
I don't know
I
how I
s-
feel about that, but
I
I,
s-
was
I-
like, that's actually probably a pretty accurate statement.
I
I'm
am-
pretty good at it.
I am the worst.
Yes.
I'm awful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
me
I'm
Well-
too.
good at it.
But to finish,
How are you
to finish
awful?
you no. But to
Long
finish you
story
moving to New York, it's not about the long story short. It really is.
You're awful at it.
Who, me?
Yes,
being
you have to
in
be
the position?
amazing at it. Yeah, I don't think that's right. Like, I think you're pretty dang good at it. Like, you look at the two teams you have to take control over.
Oh my God.
They're doing pretty dang good right now. Like,
Well, we're struggling on the hockey side. We know we got some
Developing.
things we got to do, but
y'all got the coolest jerseys in the NHL, though.
you really want one? Well, I got
Swear,
you, buddy.
I've been wanting a Patrick Waugh Avalanche jersey for the longest time. Slap it, Rafa. Yes.
Channing,
I know a guy that can get you one.
Channing only uses this podcast to try and get free stuff.
No, but this is dead serious. Like, if there was one team, like in Arizona before we had the Coyotes, I actually liked the Avalanche. This is crazy fact.
I like that.
I liked the Coyotes.
We had some hellacious teams. I mean, we got to get it back. I mean, I've been talking to our general manager Joe Sakic a lot about it recently, and Joe is a legendary player for us, and we got some great young players. We got to figure out our exact path going forward, I think, but we have some good young talent. They all want to work hard, and they all want to be in Denver, and so guys that work hard and love the city and love the game. Obviously you guys can relate to it from a basketball standpoint, but I think it starts with loving the game. Well, Richard, we know you just played because you're tall.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this question. Sorry, Richard.
No, it's okay.
Did we ever get through the whole story about how we met?
Sorry.
But anyway, Richard okay, let's come back to that. Yeah.
I hurt my wrist. My team told me I was done for the season. I had just signed a max contract. Josh had just finished college, and we decided to go out and drink every single night in New York.
Well, my internship ended, and then my next job didn't start for like 2 months. And,
oh God!
That coincided with Richard getting hurt, and literally I think the instructions that you got were, don't sweat.
Don't sweat. Yeah, I had pins sticking.
Do as little as possible.
So I tore my wrist up. I had pins sticking out, and so then they put the cast over it. But you still have an open wound on your cast because they basically, when the thing heals, they just pull the pins out. Yeah. So they tell you not to sweat, or it can get infected. So I could not sweat for 2 months. So the only thing I could do is sit around. There was no like Switch broke his thumb and he was doing cardio. I couldn't do cardio. I couldn't do anything. So I just tried to physically hurt my body the way a 24-year-old with a max contract would, living in New York City.
Okay, so Josh, here's my question for you.
Okay.
So everyone in Cleveland knows Richard. Well, I guess until last year when he got on Snapchat, but that he doesn't like social media. He's 36. He's the oldest on the team. He's grumpy. He's straight-laced.
All the above.
What?
All the above. Like, yeah, this is what, until he got on Snapchat, as I mentioned. But I'm sure you've got some younger Richard stories from those times.
Oh, boy.
Oh, we could say I don't care. There doesn't.
PG ones.
Why would they be PG? Channing's wants them to be PG just in case he's involved. But no.
Find us one that involves Channing.
Where'd Channing go?
Channing, this is the thing. Channing already had one episode where he didn't record because he wanted to go to the dinner, and we acted like he couldn't record. But Channing just
I'm right here.
Channing,
I'm right here. What's up, guys?
Channing
I hear.
Kind of bounces around. Channing just bounces around.
I got my cousin in the room.
Got it.
My guy Marcus.
Oh, okay.
So anyway,
outside the door.
I don't even remember how we started talking about this, but that's the story of how I know these guys. And so maybe some stories of Richard. I mean,
we can talk about. What do you want to talk about? Columbia, when we went to.
Yeah, that's actually a good one because he was hurt, and otherwise it never would have been able to
fly.
Yeah, I mean, it never would have been able to happen simply because you couldn't do anything.
Yeah,
and so.
Me and my crew.
I don't know. I was a year out of school and had nothing going on one weekend, and so we all decided to go back to Columbia, Missouri, where I grew up and went to college, and we went out that night. We had a lot of fun in Columbia, Missouri. We went to
population 36.
It was an amazing place.
Columbia, Missouri is so much more fun than Tucson.
It is. Well, this is the thing.
Whoa!
I will say this.
Pump those brakes.
Let me ask you this, Channing.
Yes.
Have you ever been to Columbia, Missouri?
First of all, I didn't even know Columbia, Missouri existed. Number one. Yeah. And number two, never in the history of anybody talking about colleges has somebody said, yo, you know what's a sleeper? Columbia, Missouri goes hard, dog. Nobody's ever said
no
that.
one should ever talk like that, period.
If you I would agree with that, Richard.
We talk to the bros. That's how they talk to me.
Missouri is known as a very fun school.
It is.
Really? What are you guys known for?
I played there in college.
Journalism.
Yeah. Journalism. A lot of the really good journalists around the country are actually graduates.
So everything you do is going to be in a paper. Boo. I don't want to go there. I don't want to get snapped.
Was there a roommate that you didn't like of Richard's? Pete?
No,
Peter?
it's his roommate.
Oh,
No,
it's
I
your
love,
roommate.
I
He
love,
loved
I
my
love
Peter.
his roommate.
No, he loved my roommate.
Yeah, and actually, I genuinely couldn't love the Peter that you're referencing anymore.
No,
right now.
right now.
But
yes.
if you want to talk about Peter,
Yes. So wait.
Yes.
So when he
Peter's gonna laugh.
So with Peter's actually a good friend of both of us now, but we both have had our battles with Peter.
Peter is swallowing so hard right now listening to this podcast.
So Peter, they had a
Does
female.
Peter have a last name?
His name is Peter Kite.
Peter Kite.
So Peter was a high school teammate of
Kareem Rush
that he mentioned
Okay.
earlier, and Kareem and I were, as he said, college teammates. And I got to know Peter through Kareem, and then Peter, our whole group's kind of, I guess, merged after college. And
Okay.
so Peter and I,
they shared a bathroom.
Yeah, well, hang on. So let me step. Because I don't Peter. This
Soap
was,
on
this
a
was
rope?
tough.
Just be honest. I could tell the story so you don't feel guilt.
So it was myself, Peter. This is right out of college. Myself, Peter, and one of Peter's friends from high school. Her name was Lauren.
Ooh.
And
We had another name for
she
her.
lived downstairs. And Peter and I lived upstairs, and the only bathroom upstairs was in my bedroom.
Ooh, you dog.
And so Peter,
I don't know where that was going.
Peter, yeah.
I told you his ad libs. We don't know what he said.
At least he's on his headset.
Yes, he
Dude,
is.
I have a vivid imagination.
But keep going.
So anyway, like that dynamic, presented challenges that were unforeseen when I moved into the apartment.
So
and
they used to
I don't want to say it didn't almost ruin our friendship. It was a situation that honestly no one should really be in.
Yeah.
Like no one could get along in that type of situation.
Right.
Well, because
You know?
because I think you guys alternated who was working and who wasn't. So when you were dating your girlfriend at the time, he would come home drunk at 4 a.m. and stumble through his room when he's got his girlfriend in bed,
man.
think he's in the bathroom, pee on Josh's laundry.
Yeah, that was.
It was great. No, but this was the
Hang on, he
best.
flooded the sink at one point.
Get out.
Yeah.
This was the best
Right
part.
now?
Pedro, if
He
you're
did
listening,
get
I'm
out.
sorry, buddy.
No,
I did not bring this up. This is all Richard.
Pete's a podcast person, so I've been sending him these podcasts like ahead of time, just like, yo, check this out, give me your advice. But the funniest thing about that is that so Josh and Pete would alternate kind of crashing on my couch in New York with my roommates.
There were several, There was,
Eric and
Richard
Eric
had a
and
really
Peter.
good couch.
Yeah, so we would
best.
just hang out. We would hang out a lot.
Trust me, I was there too.
Yeah. I actually stole that couch from Reem, and Luke bought one. But they would alternate sitting on the couch arguing about who the other person, like how they not hated the other person, but how they were beefing with the other roommate. So like for three days, Peter would sit on my couch like, man, Josh is so drunk or so grumpy. Like I get drunk one time in Penis closet and he's mad at me. Like I just don't get it. Then Josh would come over like 2 days, man. What are we doing tonight? Are we gonna go out? I think I might just crash here because I need a break from Peter. I was like, dog, whatever you need, man, whatever y'all need.
And going through that made us even better friends. And Peter is like one of my best friends to this day.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, me and Peter,
Yeah.
we went to the World Cup. I think we talked about when I went to the
That was
Men's
a
World
fun
Cup.
trip. We can talk about that
But
one.
me, Peter,
I didn't go to
Josh,
that.
Yeah,
you weren't
sorry,
invited.
Channing.
Josh and Luke, we all went.
You didn't turn 30 at the same time as all of us.
Thanks for the invite, guys.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. I was 27. I was still like trying to find my way in the league.
That was the whole premise of the trip, though. is
Yeah,
we all
but
turned 30 within a few months of each other.
Yeah, so it was a
It was
good
like,
time. But he goes, his security, me and Peter are kind of interacting back and forth. And so the security was like, hey, Josh, do Peter and Richard like each other? And he was just like, yeah, that's just how they interact. Don't worry. Like, they'll warm up to each other after a few days because Peter is a real funny guy, amazing dude. But he has this poke the bear kind of personality.
Oh, man.
Where like he'll do stuff and then he'll call you, oh, Richard, really? What are you gonna go angry black man on me? Really? Calm down, Richard. Calm down. Who cares? And you're just like, so he pisses you off and kills your steam at the same time,
Yeah.
and it's just
It's kind of like you, though.
oh, it's so like Richard. Yeah, but
there's Richard. Peter has a knack for getting under people's skin at some point.
quickly.
And so,
Quickly.
but like several people that I know, like, they didn't like him initially.
Oh, yeah.
But like now, like once you get to know Peter, like I would run through a wall for him.
Oh yeah,
like he's an amazing. He's a great guy.
He was one of those guys when we were drinking in our early 20s and drinking heavily for hours and upon hours. He was the sprinter, not the marathoner. Yeah. So he would get to the table. He'd get to the table and be like, "Oh, you don't want to take this shot. You don't want to take this shot. Shot. You don't want to take this shot." And we were like, "Peter, we just got here. We just took 2 shots." Oh, and the next thing you know, he's the guy that's passing out and falling over the table. And
well, he was just the Irish exit. I mean, he was just gone.
The Irish.
He would never tell you. He would never tell you. It was just like,
Richard is good for that.
He was like,
no wonder, I know where he
gone.
learned this from. Richard,
wow,
Richard. I've never in my 20 years. I think I've heard Richard say, "Channing, I'm leaving." This is what Richard does. He gives me these eyeballs.
I'm black. It's black
and
Irish.
All of a sudden,
black Irish.
Goes, I got a little Irish in me too. But listen, Richard goes, "Okay, you want another one?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, what's up? I'll take a beer or something. No big deal." Richard's like, "All right." And then next thing you know, 8 a.m. the next morning, I'm like, "Rich, where'd you go?" "Yeah, I didn't want another one. I was just seeing what you wanted to do."
No, because I feel like this is the thing. When it's time to say goodbye, you add another 20 minutes to the night.
You're absolutely right.
Like just to say goodbye, just to get out. And it's just like when it's time to go,
dude,
it's time to go.
The music is just going through your body. You can't leave, dog.
Oh, here we go. This guy.
The music is going through my body. I wish I could just somehow take a picture of your face as you were saying that comment.
We talked about that.
Show the listeners.
Trust the rainbow.
Trust the rainbow.
Trust the rainbow.
Listen, Josh.
We had a comment on here that was calling Trust the Rainbow, and he was like, "Yeah, I had that moment when I was in Vegas, and I just wanted to dance."
Vegas.
He was there.
Right.
Okay. Listen. Here's my one Josh story that I will always tell everybody. So I didn't know Josh. I knew Josh, but I didn't know Josh. I didn't know anything about Josh. I just thought Josh was cool as shit, and then bleep that one out. So look, everybody's with. We're going to Vegas. It's like
what?
my crew. Everyone's going to Vegas. So it's like all my boys. I'm the youngest one in the crew. They all know each other, and I'm hanging out with NBA players before. Like I'm really kind of set in the league.
Okay.
I just had left New York, which was depressing. So I was like, you know what? Maybe this is going to jumpstart my career.
You were an NBA player.
Yes, sort of.
That's what I'm saying. He's like, before I was
hanging out with NBA players, like before I was Channing, you were an NBA player too.
I was the 8th pick in the draft.
When you win 23 and 30 games, I'm being
no, he's
humble.
not. He's just
I'm being me. So anyways, we go to Vegas. I have the greatest time. Now, anybody that knows me, when I go to Vegas, it's like a sprint. It is the minute I touch down to the minute I have to get on that plane, I am a walking zombie. Okay, no sleep,
Vegas,
no nothing.
Vegas is a marathon and a sprint at the same time.
Yes,
it is.
Yeah.
It is a challenge. If you don't bring the right people to peer pressure you at all times, so you got to have the guy that's like the date.
It's kind of like coming on the podcast.
Pretty much, at all times. Okay. So anyways, I'm supposed to leave Sunday morning, right? Which I don't know who planned this. I think I did. So I was supposed to leave at 10. I wake up at 10:30, and I look at I call Richard, right? And I'm like, damn.
This was 10 years ago, too.
This is, super long ago, right?
Time ago.
Super long time. It actually is 10
It's 10 years ago. You're old.
So I call Rich. I'm like, Rich.
We're old.
Yo. I was like, Rich, my plane left. What am I going to do? He goes, get a new flight. And I was like,
where were you living at the time?
Dying. Phoenix. I was in Phoenix at the time.
And that's the thing people might not know. If you live in Phoenix, LA, San Diego, if you're going to Vegas, they have Southwest flights every hour on the hour.
Yes.
So you book a flight, and if you don't make it, you don't even stress. You're just first class, business select. We'll be fine. We'll get the next one.
But the thing was, I had never missed, and to this day, I have never missed a plane flight in my life. So I was getting anxiety to the utmost. So Richard's like, yo, come, we'll get you a flight at 4, and right. So I'm like, okay, that sounds great. But he's like, hey, Luke's about to get a deal.
Well, this was
come into the room. Yeah.
This we were. I think we were downstairs at the Hard Rock.
Yes, we were at the Hard Rock.
How
he's like, come get a beer. You'll be all right. Just sleep it off. Come down, get a beer. Luke's about to get a deal. So, anyways, we go have a few drinks. I'm like, okay, my bags are packed. I'm ready to go. We go into the room, and Luke is like, yo, hangs up the phone.
Wait. Set the story a little bit better because we were really making this
Who
about
is
here.
Luke?
Luke Walton.
Okay.
So Luke Walton had pretty much had minimum deals. He signed a little bit, but he had a really good deal.
He was coming off his rookie deal, I think.
Yeah, because it was like a 2-year
I think
extension.
he had a bridge deal. I think he had a bridge deal.
A 2-year bridge deal.
But then this was his
free agent. He was
It
was unrestricted. It was
Yeah.
He led the league in 3-point.
Yeah, he had a great year. This was the year that I think
Yes, it was something crazy like that.
He was shot like 40% for the first time in his life.
How many did he shoot? Like
12. But this is I think
Triangle boy.
Shaq had left. They were going through kind of a change, and Luke was able to play a lot, and he had a really healthy year, had a great year, and so he was kind of bouncing around.
Summer of 07.
Yeah. And so we're all sitting there, and there was I think we were there for some other reason, but Josh was there, I was there, you were there, Luke, maybe Jason Gardner was there, our college point guard.
Brian Cook.
There was
Mike Neary was there.
Mike Neary was there. All of our boys were there. So there was 10 of us all sitting in here, and we were going to leave on Sunday. I think we all had Sunday afternoon flights, and we're like, yo, if this dude gets a deal, because it was the first day of free agency, if he gets his deal, we're staying another night. We're going to stay another night. So we're all sitting in the room, and he gets on the phone. He calls Mitch. His agent had called him and said, call Mitch. So Mitch is talking to him. He's like, hey, Luke, this is a deal, blah, blah, blah. And so he hangs up the phone. Go ahead.
Luke had a good poker face.
Great poker face. So he's like, okay, it sounds good. He's like, okay, it sounds good. And he hangs up the phone. And so there's 9 of us sitting around, and we're like, and
I remember.
And then it was what did he sign? A $30 million deal?
I think it was 5 times 7.
Yeah, for $30 million. And we all look at him and we just all tackle him in the room. We're like, yeah, we're staying another night, and we made him pay for everything the rest of the day.
No, except for this here goes the rest of the story about how me and Josh really
Channing and I will remember this because all of a sudden Channing and I were standing there, and Channing, go ahead.
So we go out that night. Now, mind you, remember, there's 10 NBA players, young NBA players.
One of which is you.
Yes, one of which is me. And we are drinking our faces off in celebration of our buddy getting a crazy deal, right? And we play, credit card roulette. Everybody has money, so it's like credit card roulette. And the whole weekend, I didn't have to pay for nothing, right? So my card didn't get canceled one time, okay? Listen, this bill comes, and I'm talking, it is crazy. I'm talking 25-something grand. Yeah. But if you had seen how many bottles of Jack Daniels, champagne, all that, right, that we have gone through, it had been amazing. I'm surprised that we were even standing today. So we played credit card roulette. Boom, boom, boom. Cards come out. And have you ever been drunk and then something happens so serious that you sober up real quick?
Yeah.
What happened was I went from
Channing and I were having a great time, and all of a sudden we were like,
oh no,
boy.
Yeah, no. It was 4 cards left, and I said, you know what? No. This weekend's been too good. I'm still trying to dance, right? Boom, they take out 1 card. It's 3. I looked around at who else can I look at? Can he afford this? Can he afford this? Can I afford this? I can't afford this. This is a car. This is like a house payment for a year. Listen, this is how I'm thinking.
House payment for a year.
Yeah, if you rent a place, listen. If you're renting, 1-bedroom studio apartment, unfurnished, you know what I'm saying? Get your furniture from
Not
IKEA.
in New York.
No, not New York. Yeah, I knew I was already traded by that.
Okay.
Actually, I did get traded by that. Anyways, so it's me and Kroenke. So it's me and his thing in a hat. And we look over, and now, mind you,
we've
hundreds.
We've scattered.
Yeah.
Everyone scatters because they're
as soon as their card
out.
comes out, they're
right?
long
they're
gone.
out. And now, mind you, they end up spending that money back on the roulette or the blackjack table anyway. So me and Kroenke make eye contact, and we just yes. Split? Yes. And I was like, dog, I can't afford this.
Yeah, as much as I would have loved to have sat there and
50-50
hopefully
that?
pulled my card, no.
I said no. I
Richard.
said, oh, Richard.
Richard, they calling me.
They calling me. They call me. But you know what? It's so funny is that Josh,
And then I figured out who he was after that, and I was sick. I was like, I would have took my chances. This is some bullshit. This is some bullshit, but I love him nonetheless.
And that's the exact type of karma that would have got you. They would have got my card pulled.
Hey, listen, if I would have got stuck with that tab, boy, I still would have been Vegas washing dishes, boy. That car would have got declined so many times.
You would have been fine.
Nah.
But Josh, our group, we've gone on a lot of trips together.
Yeah, I mean, the best one, I mean, you referenced it earlier, I mean, was we all turned, and Channing, I hate to say you weren't on this,
okay.
but,
it's okay. No, I'm not including nothing.
No, I mean, we all turned 30 around, I mean, you're June, right?
Yeah, June.
June, May, Luke's in
March. I think his birthday's coming up.
Yeah. And then Reams is, he's in a couple months after us.
Peters
is in May.
Yeah.
And then Neary's is right around Kareem's.
Yeah.
And so there was what was there? Five, six of us went to
5 of us.
South Africa in 2010 that summer for the World Cup.
Oh wow!
And that was unbelievable.
A great time.
It was a great trip. And I mean, when we got to go back to South Africa, I want to go back when it's not the World Cup to actually more experience.
We were gonna go diving. We were
gonna go with like getting cages with like white sharks.
Yeah, but it was too choppy. They were too choppy, and they said that the
stuff.
boat tipped over one time. So
they're like,
we weren't gonna go. Can we talk about our?
That was. They casually said this to us. We're like, wait, we were really looking forward to this. Like this is gonna be like something like it's like a. It's like a bucket list item. Like is there any way around this? And they're like, no, we don't mess with the choppy waters. And I was like, well, come on, we've come all this way. No sir, no sir, no sir. I'm like, well, why? And they're like, well, we let a boat go out there in choppy waters one time and it capsized and everyone got
That's not good.
Yeah.
Can we go back to our first Europe trip that we did when we decided like
that was and this one needs to be.
We'll edit.
No, come on, man.
No, we'll tell it from a proper story.
Come on,
we'll tell it from a proper story.
Now you're just no.
you
now
can't.
you're
You can't.
No,
No.
so we went on it. So
No.
and unfortunately, Channing was not on this trip either. Channing was still in college.
Channing was never allowed to come on any of these
Channing was
trips.
still in college, but
We don't have to give full details.
And we were all like we were 25.
Yeah, we were 25.
It was myself, Kareem, Luke,
Devin George,
Emeka Okafor. Who else was on?
I had 2 of my boys all came with me, but there was like 12 of us.
Yeah, but we took it was an all guys trip. We went to Amsterdam, we went to Cannes, France, went to Paris. We just went around Europe for a couple days.
Yeah, it was fun.
sightseeing, seeing museums.
Yeah. Some of us went to the Anne Frank Museum. I didn't.
What?
No, it's in Amsterdam, the Anne Frank Museum.
Oh.
There's a Heineken museum.
There's a Heineken
museum.
factory.
went to that.
But I will say this:
Heineken.
We walked around Amsterdam,
A lot.
a lot, a lot.
Why did you walk around Amsterdam like that?
I'm curious.
Beautiful city.
It's a beautiful city.
I'm curious, Josh,
Didn't
for
your feet
you.
hurt?
When you have these relationships with
Yes.
guys, especially who are still players, and you have a relationship with Mike Miller as well.
Yeah, Mike and
correct?
I. And it's been wonderful to have him in Denver. He's been a big part of actually, he doesn't play a lot of minutes, but Mike has been a huge part of kind of our resurgence in Denver over the last year or so, and he's a big part of what we're trying to do with our younger players. And Mike and I first met, we were 16. We were on AAU. We were on a traveling team in Europe.
Oh, you
And
I see you, girl. Wikipedia.
well, I mean, it's
I
funny.
didn't find that on
Wikipedia. All Wikipedia has about me, I think, is that
It's so boring.
Yeah,
She's
that
so boring. She's like, I tried.
It's all based off like a newspaper article from like 7 years ago that like tells me like I love Harry Potter and I love going to McDonald's for breakfast. I'm like, wow.
It does say that.
Yeah, I'm like,
He likes
huh.
going
I'm
to
like,
McDonald's
that's what
for
the world thinks of me is
Well,
that I
she
love
was-
McDonald's breakfast.
Well, she
All
was
right.
like, well, we're having Josh on. Like, what do you do? And she's like, I need some help because. And I was like, oh, and we know
I'm a
Richard's really
preparation.
shallow. He doesn't know anything about me.
that's not true.
Wait, when is the last time you actually have been to McDonald's?
I mean, it's been a few months.
That's why
it
Josh
feels
is not
good. It
skinny
feels
fat
good.
anymore.
No, it feels good.
But
Hey,
here's my
we're
question.
trying
though.
to trim this up here a little bit. We got a little.
Get you a Versa
Hey,
climber.
I
Here's my question though
shout
for
out
you.
Versa climbers.
I got a little tire
Rise
there.
Nation.
We're trying to eliminate the tire.
Listen, dad bodies are in. Holla at your boy.
They're called dad bods,
Dad bods.
not dad bodies.
I have a dad body. It's like an upgrade of a dad bod. Holla at your guy,
But
man.
you have all these relationships with
Yes.
guys who are still playing. How is that tough to balance, given the position you're in?
Yes, it actually is. Which is why, I'm very careful about having any of our friends. And, and I've gotten better with it over the years. I understand. I mean, and these guys understand that it's as much of a business as I do.
Yeah.
And, these guys are all true professionals. And, at the end, that's why we're able to sit around and laugh and joke like we are right now. But at the same time, come Wednesday, we'll want to kick each other's butts.
Yeah.
And that's the fun part.
Just
of
so
it.
we could talk some shit.
Remember the last time we played each other in the playoffs?
Huh?
Yeah, see, and this is the really tough part.
So
my dad,
I was with
my
Golden
dad and
State.
I talk about
I was
this.
with Golden State when we were fortunate enough to win or to be upset the 57-win team of Denver 3 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, but like my dad and I joke about this. It's like no matter what, it's like any of my friends that come through and play against our team, like they always have great games, and I'm like, great guys, thanks, I really appreciate this.
Well, it's to say if we can't play against you, we might as well be playing against your team.
Yeah.
So that makes it a little bit more fun.
Like I remember going out to Denver. I was actually living in New York still, and like Richard and I went down and sat on the court. This was before I lived in Denver, but I was living in New York. Went down and sat on the court, and Richard's like talking smack to me, like
He's really good at that.
yeah, like and I'm like I'm just there like a fan, This is before I was really officially involved in the team. Richard gets a dunk. He's like, "What are you doing here, man?" What the hell? And I'm just like, "Great, thanks, thanks, Richard."
Yeah, fans are looking at you like,
fans
what
are
did you
like,
do to
"Why?"
piss off this guy?
I think Kareem hit a buzzer beater in Denver one time, beat us. Everybody that I know always plays well against us, but
Well, that's because
guys,
it's like
yeah.
So Josh and I, and thank you for helping me correct my grammar earlier.
Yeah.
Josh and I are in a
It's
fantasy.
okay, you
We're in
went
a
to Arizona. We
we're
understand.
in a fantasy football league together, and
Thanks, guys.
You're not in that either.
Channing's not in any. No. This is. You want to know why
I have
Channing?
my own group of
No, that's not true. Do you want to know? Do you want to know?
We might need to
plus
invite
one.
Channing in just cause now.
Do you
Like,
know-
I'm actually starting to feel bad.
Allie,
He's not-
Allie,
No, I got my own friends. They're
Okay,
cool. They're all
Allie.
my age.
Allie, do
It's
you want to know
cool.
why Channing is not involved in our fantasy football league? So from the moment we started our fantasy football league with like really close friends, Peter's in it, Luke's in it. We've had a bunch of our friends that we all grew up in it.
Peter that pissed in the closet?
Yes.
Yeah, Peter.
And I don't think he actually went in the closet. I think there was a sink involved. Like there was something in the sink, and then he went to the bathroom.
Don't try and clean it up. Don't try and clean it up.
Happens to the
If
best of us.
we're gonna throw Peter out there for the world to hear, I want to make sure that Peter is not like represented incorrectly at least.
I would love Peter. Peter
Oh,
that
Peter's
pissed in the
amazing.
closet is
He's
the
the
best
best.
thing.
Peter might need to come
no.
on the podcast.
Oh, Peter, no, he
on
will.
the
So
podcast?
Peter lives in Chicago. So when we go to Chicago for 3 days, we'll have Peter come on.
Oh,
It'll
where's
be-
Peter, I'm
Chicago
trying.
for
I'm
3
trying to
days?
defend you, buddy.
3 days.
But Peter, I think there was a sink that
Pippins, get ready.
in our like little, I guess, laundry area up there. And instead of coming into my room, I think Peter elected to go to the bathroom in the sink. And there was something in the sink that was
being washed or something.
and so when he went to the bathroom in the sink, turned the faucet on. But I mean, the mistake was he then went to sleep. And in the bathroom? No, he left. He went into his room and went to sleep, and they left the faucet on, and it was clogged, and so. That's how they're.
It's still great. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how the urban legend grows. It's just as long as it
Peter,
grows.
all I was
So-
trying to do there, Peter, was defend you from going to the bathroom in my
so-
closet. I don't
so-
think that ever happened.
So the reason why Channing is not in our fantasy football league is because we made it a destination league. So like all of us, no matter what, we will get together and we will do a destination. So we did it in New York. We've gone to Athens, Georgia, and we went and watched like South Carolina versus Georgia. We've done it in Chicago. We've done it in Vegas multiple years. This year, we did it at Josh's house in L.A. because he just moved here. So we did it. We did it at his house in L.A. So what I'm saying is a destination league. But part of the commitment. Hold on a second, Shane. Part of the commitment is that if you're going to join this league, we get on a text chain. And we need to make sure that everyone can attend whatever event that we choose to do the draft in because the draft is in person. And every time we've asked Channing, because he has been asked multiple times, oh, well, I got to check with my wife and check. And it's just like some people run their house and some people run around their house. And so Channing is
First
not.
of all, I'm
Channing,
going to tell you this.
Shout out to Lauren.
Cancel.
we love
Shout
you,
out
Lauren.
to Lauren.
Lauren, I love you to
Strong
death.
woman.
I love you, Lauren, and she'll tell you this. That's my bae, my boo. The real issue was
Why?
I was not on teams that were good, so I had to be back before we had to be after Labor Day.
That's
100%. Like, there's no.
Channing, all of our drafts are before Labor Day.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
They're 100%
Okay,
always at
but
Labor Day.
this is the other. This is the other
one where I was a free agent.
but
Another one where I
Channing,
come back. See, look, this is come from a guy. How many times in your career, in your 16 years, how many teams have you been on that made the playoffs?
12 or 13.
Okay. Okay. So I've been on rebuilding teams. So there's no way I can go, right? Like
12 or 13.
So
And
listen.
back to how our podcast started.
Back to how our
So
podcast
mean to
started.
you.
Richard, okay.
Jefferson.
Wow, that's kind of
Listen, I would
aggressive.
love to be a part.
Dick Jefferson.
Yeah, Dick Jefferson, right? Understandable. Listen, if they would ask me now, as long as I'm on, LeBron's team, what's up, boys? I'm ready to go.
No, Channing. This is the other part. Channing feels some sort of like civil responsibility to show up before Labor Day. Like they only make that. Like that's a rule for rookies and like second and third year
So
players.
he's committed
That's
to
not
winning
true.
a title,
What?
and now he's
That's
trying to be good.
That's
trying to be a
that's
good vet.
clownish.
My bad.
That's clownish. I show up the day before training camp.
Richard.
But no,
you
but-
don't really show up till after All-Star break.
Well,
Let's be real.
No,
Richard, let's look at your stats.
I don't know.
All
I
year
don't know.
and then after All-Star break.
Was-
It's astronomically
Channing,
better.
was I
Channing,
injured? Was
I can't speak on the season as a whole, but
Yeah.
I couldn't believe Richard on Christmas Day. I mean,
Yeah.
let's talk about it.
One
Yeah.
game. Do you know? Okay, it is March.
I was
January,
hurt.
February, March.
was I not hurt?
Richard,
Did I not get my from? Okay, so we went and did the stat. I had my for the fans out there, my wrist was messed up. Now I am not an individual that likes missing games. I do not like missing games. That
Right.
if I
No,
can
no, no.
wheel
We don't
myself,
like-
if
U
I
of A
can
people don't like missing
if I
games.
can
Let's
wheel
go.
myself out there, I will. So I jammed my wrist, and my wrist had been bothering me all year. It was stiff. I didn't know where my first couple of shots were going, but
Right.
it happens. But I can still jump. I can still run. I can still defend. I can still help the team.
Right.
But I couldn't hit a shot. So before we played Dallas on a back-to-back,
Right.
I got my wrist injected.
Right.
So they injected it with an anti-inflammatory, and so
They hit you with the
they
pew
injected
pew.
with a needle.
Right.
From that day, which
Okay.
was January 30th.
I-
From that day,
Check
I'm
the
shoo- I'm
stats. Hit me
shooting-
up on Snapchat.
I'm telling you, from
Okay.
that day,
January 30th.
because I go 3 for 3 in Dallas, and from
Right.
that day, I'm shooting 40% from three.
Okay.
From that day, but that's what I typically shoot. I shoot between 38 and 41% from three.
So-
So if you just give me my normal 3-point percentage, then I'm fine.
Richard.
Josh,
Yes.
this bromance is a lot. So let's turn
You know,
the page.
I don't know. Did I ever answer your question about like being around friends or like working with friends, like something like that?
How tough it is to balance. You did.
Well, yeah.
But
I
if
mean,
you
like
have more,
Mike
yeah.
is the first one that I've had that I've known for a really long time. It's been great. But I haven't had many guys. I've always earlier in my kind of career to say. I was more hesitant to ever bring anybody in.
Yeah.
Just because I would never want you never want to have emotions involved with business decisions, and so you got to be able to separate them. And so I think I'm much better at separating them than I was.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'd be a lot more comfortable having one of these guys on our team.
In about
obviously.
4 years, I'll be awesome. I love Denver.
I'm a free agent, Josh.
Well, I mean, I would, Richard, as much as I would love you, I don't know if you might retire, you might
No,
unretire.
he don't.
You might.
You
I don't know. Who
what?
knows
He
what you're
just
going to
needs
do?
a little applause. He's
like,
coming back.
He's like a woman, so
Yeah.
indecisive. And I'm a woman, I can say
Wow.
that.
Oh,
With that said,
There we go. Put him on blast, girl. I see you, truck.
I'm just
Horn
a-
noise. Good.
I do have a question for you. The other day, I did a Facebook Live with Richard.
Did you?
Yeah, did you watch?
Fuck no. I didn't watch that shit.
Rude.
This is on Facebook.
We did a
50-year-olds?
Facebook. we did a Facebook Live the other day, right? And he was like, "I want to get a little personal." And in that moment, I was like, "Dear Lord," I said
it
a
could
prayer.
go left or right.
He starts talking about the sperm count of his dog Elwood
Oh, Elle was so cool, though.
Elle was-
That's
Elle-
respectable.
hey,
That's
Elle-
respectable.
So
and how he wants to.
As he
wants to
should.
keep- but you're a part of the Elwood Stewie family, right?
So for all the listeners, does everyone know who
There's
Elwood
dozens.
is?
No.
There's dozens of listeners.
For the tens of listeners that are out there.
Now 12s. There's going to be at least 2 Kronkites.
Yeah, so and I don't know how this all started. Well, I mean, I guess it originally.
What's Stewie?
My sister had
Had a
one,
bulldog,
too.
yeah.
My sister had
Tank?
Hank,
Hank.
yeah.
Yeah.
Tank.
Close.
Hank.
It was years ago.
But my sister had Hank, and then you got Stewie.
Yes.
Kind kind of on a whim one day. I just kind of
Yeah,
came
it
over
was
to your
it was
apartment
it
and
was
you
a
had a puppy.
real. It was a
God.
Don't do this.
But-
3 guys should never just randomly go to a dog place and
And you took it out of the hands of someone.
Yes, I did.
That's rude.
Stewie?
Yeah, well, so basically we went there to the place and I had hurt my wrist. It was a snowstorm.
You
and
guys deboed Stewie? From
yeah, so
somebody
somebody was like, yo, should you we should go get a dog. Pete, whose family also had dogs,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we go there and they're like, there's 3 bulldog puppies. 2 were females, 1 was a male. There was a couple holding the male, talking to one of the people that worked at the pet store. So we're looking at him, and they're like, oh, well, this is the male. So the couple was holding him, talking to the person. We're like, oh, can we hold him for a second? And they're like, oh, okay. So they hand him to us, and we walk to the front. We just walk to the front and bottom. That's how it. So yes. And
You're so boss,
and so
dog.
and then
You're so boss.
that couple walked out like 5 minutes later because it was like they were literally holding him, talking to a person that walked there, and we grabbed him and just walked to the front. And when people have a guaranteed sale, they're not going to, oh, well, this couple is trying to decide who they want. And we were like, no, we're ready to buy him right now. Like, can we leave now? And they're like, okay. So the couple ended up leaving. Anyways, that's how the whole Stewie lore
Oh,
got
man.
started.
I never knew that you stole Stewie.
It's not I paid for him.
Somebody tricked me
Basically.
into thinking
Well-
that Lily was a real bulldog.
No, yeah. Channing tried to get a bulldog too, and he had Milton. We all had bulldogs.
Milton, look, at night he would snore so loud I would throw a pillow at him, and then he'd be like, right? I'm like, oh, you know what? Get your butt out of here. Listen, that dog is toe up. Listen, Milton, you sit, stay, you know what? Just plop right there. Just sit on down, Milty. You good.
If anybody's ever watched Family Guy and the old pervert man,
Oh,
that has
my
the dog
God.
whose legs just drag behind.
That was Milton. But listen, Milton was loyal. Milton was loyal, dog. I love that dog, man.
Wait.
Pour some out for Milty.
Wait.
Milty.
We keep bombarding Josh. People don't need to hear our stories.
Sorry.
No, hang on. So you're talking about Elwood's sperm count?
Yes.
He was telling me how he wants Stewie's life basically to carry on, and so therefore
And so
Elwood
Stewie
would
passed
need
away.
to.
Yeah.
Keep
That was
that
then
going.
that was so I have Fletcher and Arnie,
Okay.
and
Why you named them that?
so Fletch was just a Fletch. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I had it down to a couple of
Super
names,
white.
and I saw him. And what's that?
That's super white.
It's super white.
Yeah. That's Fletch is like.
Well, he's got a white head. He's got a white coat.
Oh,
What
does he?
about Arnold? Arnie.
Arnold Palmer's. I mean,
Is Arnie white too?
No. I know a couple
I don't know.
bros that are super
You
Arnold.
don't know a white. You do not know one black person named Arnie. Don't lie.
No, you're right. It sounded good, though. It sounded good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to help out, man. He
You know,
was
and I'm racking my brain right now, going, "Come on, I gotta
Listen,
do something." I
look,
can't think of
he
anything.
was like, all lives matter.
All right, Fletch and
Sorry,
Arnie.
Fletch and Arnie.
Bulldog lives matter.
There we go. That counts.
Oh, man, I was like sweating.
So yeah, you went there.
I did. My bad, dog. My
You
bad.
went
It's
there.
not February. Oh.
So so I had, but anyway, long story short, it's kind of, you brought up. It's a very
Sad story.
Yeah. So I had one of so Stewie was Richard's original dog. Then Stewie had puppies, and all those puppies went out to our group of friends, and that was right after I had gotten Fletcher, and so then those puppies kind of grew up, and I had a puppy from one of those puppies from Pete.
Yeah, Stewie's granddaughter.
From Richard's roommate in New York. It was Stewie's granddog, and her name was Lucy. She was all white. She was the cutest little
Aw.
thing. And her and Fletch were 2 peas in a pod, loved each other. But she went in for a routine surgery when she was about a year and a half old. This was in 2011. And something was, we don't know the whole, and you'll never know. I mean,
Yeah.
the best advice I got out of that was you never fully own your dog. You only lease them, and you hope the lease runs as long as it can.
Oh,
and,
wow.
And so I
I've
was
never
like,
heard that.
I'm like, I was like, that, I appreciated the words, and somehow that kind of got me through it. But then about 6 months, Fletch and I were bachelors for a little while there, and then then about 6 months later, I was kind of getting the itch. I noticed Fletch was kind of. It always
Yeah.
helps their energy levels, and so I couldn't bring myself to get another little girl. So I went to where there's a breeder in Fort Collins, Colorado, about an hour north of Denver, where I gotten Fletcher, and I went up there and found Mr. Arnie.
Yeah.
And Arnie came bouncing along, and Arnie is I think he was the run of his litter.
Oh, okay.
Arnie's a wild man. Yeah, Arnie's a wild man.
No, so Elwood.
But they go everywhere with me.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
Elwood.
that's awesome.
Elwood's. So Elwood.
I was going to bring him down here.
Elwood's has a little bit of a knee
Do
problem.
they travel?
Right now.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do
go
they
ahead.
travel well?
Hell no.
On private planes? They do.
Yeah, on private jets. Yeah.
Oh yeah, duh, Allie. Earth Allie.
I tried to. Okay, so Lily and Milton, I tried to put them on a car from New York to Portland. Right when I got traded, Lily to this day has a serious issue with other bigger dogs because I guess when they go to walk, like being in those like cages all the time, they like get mad at each other because the cages are actually facing each other in the back of this van. And being in the back of a van from Connecticut to Portland gives you an issue. So Lily,
I took a Greyhound bus
Yeah.
once from Philly to Phoenix.
no,
Yeah, when I was a kid, 3 days.
Richard.
But keep going. I don't want to. I just it reminded me of being in a cage
Hold
facing
on.
other people.
There is no story better than a NBA player being on a Greyhound bus. What did you do in the age of no iPad, lacking
I'm going to go out
AC
on a limb and
unit?
say you weren't an NBA player at this
I was
point in
not.
time.
He's a clown. Like
He was a kid.
I was a kid.
I know
Shit.
he was a kid,
Okay,
but I'm
okay.
saying
So I was okay. So
Like-
let me go back. So
where he came
my
from.
family moved from when we moved from South Central LA. We
Good
moved to
for
Phoenix.
you.
My mom was from Philly originally, and
Right.
so there were some things going on in her and in my family
Right.
that she needed to go back to Philadelphia to help. We had no money. We were on welfare. So my
Right.
mom put me and my two older brothers on a bus from Phoenix to Philadelphia. We went on a Greyhound bus for 3 days. We left Phoenix.
Where'd you stay at night?
On the bus, you drive.
What?
They alternate drivers. You
Yeah.
just go. There is no sleeping anything. Like you sleep on the bus. This is before iPads. This is before headsets. We didn't have like Walkmans or cassette players.
Did you
We
have a
had,
talk boy?
we had nothing. We
Nothing.
had
Coloring
we
books?
had Punch Bug.
What's that?
Punch Bug when you see like a bug. A Volkswagen
a
bug.
Volkswagen bug.
Volkswagen bug. Punch Bug.
Oh, we call that
Why would
slug
you
bug.
hit me so hard?
Slug bug.
Whatever. We call it Punch Bug.
Yeah,
I'd be
I like
welted up.
Well, when you have two older brothers, it's just punch. There is no slug or anything like that. Anyway, so that was the shittiest trip in the history of human beings. 3 days on a bus because you
had
can
to
shower at a
smell
bus
those people.
stop. They're like you can get little food, but really it's just 3 days. Like they alternate drivers, so you'll get to a stop, another driver will take you, and it took us 3 days, 3 full days.
How old are you, Richie?
I was 8 or 9.
Yeah, Rich.
Richie?
Look at that. She's so endeared by that. She's like, oh.
Richie Rich used to be my favorite
Anyways,
movie.
but the whole point,
course it
the
was.
whole start of this is Elwood has low sperm count.
Oh yeah, Elwood.
And it's devastating because I want to keep Stewie's
Does he have
lineage.
low T?
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
Dude,
so
I'm
so
saying,
people
Rich,
You mentioned
get a
the other-
hypoallergenic
so
dog.
people don't know.
you
No,
mentioned the
I
other
love
day
bulldogs.
that you saved something.
What do you mean?
something?
No, so you have to. Okay, so people that don't know out there, we're going to give you a quick National Geographic bulldog lesson. So you have to manually masturbate
Yeah.
bulldogs.
What?
You have to because they don't breed naturally. So you have to
Who
manually.
does that?
Not me. So you have to manually
Somebody's like,
masturbate.
"Get
your
ready."
I don't mean to go too off topic here, but I mean, what is the alternative? What's the difference between masturbating and manually masturbating?
Well, masturbating is yourself. Masturbating,
right.
masturbating is yourself. Well, you know what it is? It's from a Kevin Smith movie when they were like, "What do you do for a living?" This girl goes, "I manually masturbate animals for artificial insemination." So I just like saying manually masturbate. It's from a Kevin Smith movie. No big deal. No one cares.
Nope.
So
No one's seen
you
it.
have to
No.
because you have to. Well, you say masturbate. It's not like he's watching puppy porn or anything like that.
You're like, yo, let me throw on this red tube.
Red tube.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, sorry, you're a thumbzilla guy? My bad.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, shit. I see those eyes.
Tumblr.
Hey, listen. Listen, tell me
No, so I
boy.
just
Listen,
I don't know what I'm gonna do.
games
So
now.
they said that his sperm was like all sorts of just. He's older now, so like he
I
was
thought Luke had one of the dogs.
Luke did, but he
Luke
had his cut very early. Gus,
Aw,
Gusto.
really?
Gus is so awesome.
He's so good. Gustavo, that's Elwood's brother.
It's
but
huge.
they both
It's a
been cut.
big ass.
So they're
fat
the only
bulldog.
two left.
No, they're not the only two left. I think because my buddy Pete, he had other dogs, and so there's still the lineage that we can find. But I just wanted to keep Elwood
Elwood's tiny though.
But it's still Elwood's
He's a pretty
amazing.
dog.
He
is very pretty.
He's
Yeah,
beautiful,
yeah.
and
Pretty
he's such, like his demeanor. But he's
a
been
good
so
dog.
sad since Stewie hasn't been there, and
Yeah.
Stewie played with Little Rich. Elwood just kind of just like looks at him like,
You took my thunder.
yeah,
You took my thunder, you
yeah,
little-
he doesn't. And now there's two of them. And
So if anybody is a bulldog like elite breeder, holla at your boy Richard. He's
No.
lonely.
Someone who manually masturbated.
I know
Yeah,
the
so-
vets do that. Why do you keep making that sound?
That's the manually masturbating.
That's not the
bulldog.
sound. That's not the sound. That's
What is the
made.
sound?
I
Please
figured
tell
that'd
me
be a
what the
good Friday
sound.
night for you, Rick.
Good Friday night, a little glove, a little
wow.
glove action.
A little lube. You're like,
It's like, hey, come on, hey, listen.
put him in a harness.
My major was in the Department of Agriculture, so like
Oh, man.
Future Farmers of America (FFA), so they all know about like masturbating animals for insemination.
Wow.
It's
I grew up in Missouri.
insemination,
I
like
know-
that's
I mean,
what I'm saying.
My aunt and uncle they bred horses. and I
Exactly,
used to-
like
I
come
used to-
on.
Okay.
Let's
You grew up on a
let's,
farm?
Let's talk
I didn't grow
about.
up on a farm, but my aunt and uncle were.
Are you
horse
shitting
breeders.
me?
What?
The horses he's talking about are like Kentucky Derby horses. They're not.
they're
Actually,
not.
Actually, we're talking about show horses, which is a major difference.
Remember
Okay.
we went.
Yeah,
and,
so
remember
these
we
are
went
not-
and watched
these aren't racing.
dressage.
Six-figure horses or like
Remember we went and watched
hey,
dressage. at the
kiddie pool
London
horses.
What did
That
you
was
do?
actually a really good story.
What
So,
did you do?
We went to the London Olympics together, and
Damn,
You
y'all
guys
went
go
everywhere.
was
call me nothing.
Was Channing involved?
Nope.
nope.
No. You know what? I'm just gonna get my headphones. to
Channing, you know what I'm
somebody else, to
realizing is
Rafa.
that we got to go on a trip.
We gotta go on a trip together. We gotta get Channing on something.
You know what we need to do? Yes, we need to do yeah, we need to do something.
But my mother had she had gotten these basically like just ticket packages that like you attended certain events and you basically guaranteed yourself like a complete Olympic experience. You're going to go see like sand volleyball one day. You're going to see the track and field. You're going to go do this. And so one day we get up and my mom's like, okay, well, you guys got to get a little bit dressed up today because we're going to dressage. And we all looked at each other and we were like, and we were all
Super
hungover. We were
early.
like, oh man, like dressage.
What's dressage?
What's
Ooh,
dressage?
Is that a fashion show?
And it was
Good talk.
We all started
we all start Googling dressage and like, I mean, it's basically dancing horses. I mean, I don't know
That's
how
not
to.
kidding.
In Wilsonville, Oregon, there's a place
Oh,
that
now
they
you-
actually
now you're-
won.
Now you're interested?
No, I didn't know what dressage was. But
Channing,
the
I know
person-
someone that can get you tickets to the next dressage.
No, but the horse that won it from USA, I think got the bronze, is from Wilsonville, Oregon, where I have a farm. I'll let your boy.
Jeez.
Yo, but this place is huge. It's like 130 acres. I Google mapped it.
Yeah, and like, and I don't know anything about the sport, but like you go there and you watch this and it's set to music, and these horses are like, it's like they're dancing.
Okay,
they're like
nobody
they're-
can see
they're-
you.
Yeah, they got
We
their
can
like
video.
hooves up. They're like prancing around, and I'm like, I don't even know how to describe it to the viewers other than to say these horses are dancing around.
It's amazing.
Out in front of you, and
Yeah.
we watched it, and fortunately we had. Mimosas handy, and so
it was cold out. That was the other
It was
part.
cold, too,
It
man.
was
It was cold.
freezing.
Wait,
and we're
pulp or
watching-
no pulp on your mimosas?
There might have been a touch of pulp.
God, I hate pulp. Okay, anyway, sorry. It's
No,
very
but I'm
important
just saying
to me.
it was freezing, and
It
we were
was my
watching
day.
dressage in London.
Yeah, it was
hungover.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, at the Olympics for free. Oh, your life sucks. God.
Channing
Oh,
sucks
I'm
it
sorry.
and
I'm
really
sorry.
sad.
Channing wanted to talk about his second home in Wilson, Oregon. Shout out your second
I
home.
didn't
That's
wanna talk about
That's
that. I'm
30
just saying,
minutes
don't
from your
complain
actual
about,
home. No one's
like,
complaining. We were
it's
more just.
45 minutes,
Can
by
we
the
talk
way.
about
Josh.
Do you
that?
have any questions that
Again,
are like, relevant? To
I
anything?
do. I do because you're
I mean, as much
obviously
as I would love to talk about dressage, I'm sure there are other topics that the
Obviously
tens of
there
listeners
is
would
an-
love to hear about.
underlying issue with you two.
Yes. It's on every podcast though. So
Oh, it's okay. It's been there, and there's a lot more of that.
That'll be for
I've
the
been
next
around it.
episode.
All but this.
Yeah.
With that
It
said,
always
though-
comes really close to boiling over, but just never quite comes out of the pot.
No, I
it always
usually, like-
stays in. The heat gets turned back down before the water can completely boil over.
Oh, when you're making pasta, dog.
Did you by
I love
chance
that
see?
shit.
Speaking of that, did you by chance see the video of Channing the other day when we were playing Houston?
What was I doing?
And
What'd he
you
do?
had that awesome trap on
Oh, it's
about
fucking
it.
hot.
and the way he
Oh,
was
No, I missed this.
reacted
What did
to
I
the
miss?
official.
Channing did a pout, and it was just over the top.
Do I need to Google this real
Yeah.
fast?
No, it's
We
on.
could probably
we
pull
can
it up.
find it.
No, listen,
Hey,
Josh.
I got a better question. I
have two questions.
Okay,
So
Allie,
you
go
go.
ahead.
No, you
Go ahead, please.
Okay.
Allie, this is your turn.
Yeah, I mean,
Fergie.
let's talk about something relevant.
I got you.
know.
Okay.
Let's
As
go.
much as I would love to really break down Elwood's sperm count, I think that we might.
I miss my
Have other-
Elwood.
I almost brought Fletch and Arnie down here today.
I missed them.
Of course you did.
Because they travel well on the private jet. Okay.
They, they have no idea they're dogs. No idea.
With
idea.
that said, obviously, as successful as you are at the age that you are, very young, I would say. What's your long-term goal?
I mean,
is this where you envisioned?
Let's talk about. Are we
where you
talking
would
personal? Are we talking business? Are we talking?
Oh,
I
killed
think-
your question.
No, I think overall
good
because
reaction.
at the end of the day, you
Channing, I've
want
been well trained.
you want
I know it, dog. Listen, I
went-
couldn't do what you do, boy.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you that right now.
you want personal and you want business to coincide, right?
Yeah, I
You
mean,
want it to be able to work together.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously
So-
been, for the viewers out there, or listeners that don't know the full dynamic of our sporting operation. So we are, as much as I'm involved with the teams in Denver, the two teams we've referenced, the Nuggets and Avalanche, we also, our company, Kroenke Sports and Entertainment, we also own and operate the Colorado Rapids, which is in MLS. We have the Colorado Mammoth, which is Major League Lacrosse. And then we also have the Los Angeles Rams, which is obviously an NFL team here in the United States, and then we have we're the majority shareholders at Arsenal Football Club in London.
Oh, are you
And
guys
so-
good this year?
And so
totally
easy,
joking.
Channing.
I'm
Yeah,
totally
the
Easy,
joking.
Gunners,
Channing.
though. You ever watch when you talk about the
Totally
Gunners,
joking.
man?
And so anyway, so yeah, I mean, my goal. There's been a major change in our business dynamics in the last year with the team coming out to Los Angeles, and then I've been back and forth to London a lot. And so professional goals. I mean, win.
Yeah.
I mean, win. I mean, that's that. As much as you want to. The Nuggets, we've been on an interesting path to just talk about basketball for our listeners. The Nuggets have been on an interesting path the last couple of years, and you go through kind of downturns, and as long as you make the most of your opportunities in the downturns, you start to come out of it fairly fast. And our general manager, Tim Conley, and our assistant GM, Arturas Karnisovas, Jared Jeffries on our staff, Tommy Balchitis.
Jared, that's my guy, man.
Jared.
I love that guy.
Jared Jeffries.
Dude, he is a piece of work.
That's
man.
if you ever want to have a hell of a podcast, put him on it.
No, dude, he's been
We have two big enough personalities already.
Love you, Jared.
But our guys,
Costa
they
Rica.
did an amazing job at putting together, drafting well, finding undervalued talent around the league, and so our team's starting to play really well. We're going to hopefully make the playoffs. We got to finish strong over these next few weeks, but we got some good young players in a good direction, and so long term, I think that for myself is just win, and we're laying foundations at all of our different organizations right now that we think will help us in the future. But I mean, there's very real things that. As Richard and Channing can speak, they are the defending champions this year.
Say it again.
God.
No, don't.
God, thank God you won one.
That would have been a real piece of work.
No, I mean, I was, to just so you know how much, I don't know if I've ever even told you guys this, but I could not cheer for my friends more when I'm not playing against them, because you want them to you want to see your friends succeed. And so I was in my kind of TV room in Denver at my house in Denver, and I was watching that. No, I'm just in the middle of a neighborhood.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah.
It's a good setup, but I'm in the middle of a neyborhood. Chateau. Yeah, Mr. I got a ranch out in Oregon if anybody wants to come hang out.
Yeah.
But
Hayfields.
yeah, I was, and as the last few minutes started to unfold, I mean, I was in my kind of theater room, on the couch, jumping up and down, screaming, as soon as LeBron made the block and plays started to unfold. I mean, and as I saw what was about to happen, I mean, I couldn't. Outside of winning a championship for the city of Denver, I could not have been more ecstatic to see my friends win.
Aww.
And so, I mean, that's you're laying foundations right now that hopefully will get you to that place in the future. And as these guys can say, from a championship, culture, and every kind of cliche in the book are very real things when you really want to win at the highest level. And so that's what we're trying to establish now. And our Nuggets team's starting to play pretty well. I don't know if people are excited to play us anymore, and that's
no.
usually a first step. Teams when you talk to guys, and I kind of feel out what they think, and I'm like, well, we don't want to play you guys. That's a good thing for us, and that we
Your
got
altitude sucks.
That altitude's a monster. But to the point that you said, like, you had friends on both sides of that, because obviously you and Luke are really, really good friends.
Yeah.
But Luke is greedy. Luke already has 3 championships.
Yeah,
2 as a
Luke,
player,
come on, Luke.
assistant coach.
Luke, we still love you. I'm still searching for mine too.
So okay, to kind of switch sides, because we know what you do as an executive and all those things. You've been successful, and as a friend, it's always been kind of impressive to see not only the pressure but just the attention and how you've handled that. And you look at other people that are just trying to get attention. And me and you grew up in the exact same era. And I have a question to you, and I don't know if you can answer this question, but who's better, the Rush brothers or the Ball brothers?
Oh man,
because to me, Jerron Rush was my favorite player, and he was the exact same class as me. But when I saw him, I struggled to be like, okay, I had this kid is 5th in my class. He was probably about 6-7 months older than me, and I developed later. But I was like, this guy's 6'7", could jump, could shoot, was just ferocious. And then you had his younger brother. Then you had obviously Brandon Rush. All 3 of them had the 2 of them had careers in the NBA. Jerron, who was probably the best, but dealt with the most personal struggles. It was by far the best. Jerron was the best, but he dealt with the most personal struggles, being the oldest. Like when I look at the Ball brothers, as good as they are and whatever, to say that they were better than the Rush brothers. And my thing is like, you've seen this story, 3 brothers playing, high level basketball.
I mean, and unfortunately, I'm smart enough to know that I'm only going to talk about the Rush brothers. As much as different things are moving around me, I'm smart enough to know that the Rush brothers are. That's fine. Anything and everything I'm going to talk about.
That's fine. Talk about the Rush brothers. I'll mix in, because when I see this, we have a brand, and it's look. His dad is doing one thing right, in the sense that they're getting people to talk about them, which from a exposure standpoint is probably good. And we're running low, but we have the Whispering Angel right there if you want to crack that.
Oh, we got to go to
What?
Rosé.
Yeah,
No, you don't.
We're going to Rosé.
We haven't talked about that the whole time. Dude, I completely forgot about that.
Yes, we have another bottle.
No, but what is that?
What?
Rosé?
It's the Whispering
kind of
Angel.
rosé?
Yeah,
Whispering
it's Whispering.
No, it's not. You
Yes, it
bought
is.
That?
No, that's
No.
what I ordered.
Shut up.
Sorry for caring about you, Channing, and what you enjoy.
Listen,
sorry for
guys.
knowing you. Sorry for being your friend.
I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm a big wine guy. There is one wine that I may have one time in my whole life, and that is Whispering Eagle.
Whispering
Angel?
No,
No,
that's not Screaming Eagle.
No.
That's Whispering Angel.
Okay,
They're two
sorry.
different
This
things.
is-
We did not.
My bad.
Oh, so
Channing's
so,
buzz,
so-
folks.
it's so-
Channing's
no, no,
buzz.
no.
Thank you, Channing.
Listen.
Channing likes to talk
It's
about
so
Screaming
expensive,
Eagle.
I can't even say it.
No,
Listen.
this is Channing. This is definitely not that.
Okay.
This is this is a different animal.
Okay, listen.
Yeah,
Screaming Eagle. Can we
it's a
talk about
peasant.
that?
No, I need him to talk
Richard,
about the Rush
hang on.
brothers.
Yeah, no, we can. No,
Time out.
Okay.
Richard, can you take pointers from Josh on how to open a wine bottle? Thank
Did you see that?
you. Yeah, Josh,
Oh,
well done.
Yeah.
really?
The everything man.
Listen,
Yeah.
guys, I'm going to tell you this right now.
Renaissance
I'm a big wine
Renaissance
guy.
man.
Renaissance man.
I'm a big wine
Yeah.
guy right now.
As he just
Listen.
this clown. Do you
I
see?
was very happy to see
I
that
am
they
not-
selected Pinot Noir for our afternoon.
Delight.
Yeah,
Listen.
I mean, if it was
Guys, if you
anything
guys like
heavier than
rosé-
Pinot, and I wouldn't have been into it.
If you guys like rosé, please, if you have the chance, try Whispering Angel. LeBron put me onto it. It is absolutely ridiculous. Super plug for Kronk Dog.
That's not us.
It's not you?
There's Screaming
Why? What are you?
Eagle.
No,
They're-
yeah.
I thought it was the same thing. So unplug that. This stuff is disgusting.
I was like, damn.
This is disgusting. No, I thought it was the same
just
thing.
stop
Listen,
talking.
sorry. No,
Okay,
no,
so we've
no,
moved on
okay.
from
You
the
want me to stop
rush and the
talking?
ball.
I'm done.
Well, hang
No.
on. So, for people that don't know, we referenced Kareem Rush early in the podcast, and Kareem had 2 brothers, one older and one younger. His older brother was named Jerron, and his younger brother is named Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
And Brandon still plays, but Jerron was the oldest brother, and Jerron was when
Amazing.
we were Richard and I were in the same high school class, and geez, Louise,
What are you doing,
Channing.
dude?
What? I'm going to end up having that.
Channing, I like wine too.
Oh,
for all the folks, I mean, folks, we just opened a full bottle of wine, and I just received the bottle back, and there might be 3 ounces left in it. Courtesy of Channing's pour, because Channing has a big glass that he elected to fill all the way to
it's
the
not
brim,
even my glass.
as if it was like a glass of water.
Sorry, 'cause people look thirsty. Their lips are chapped.
Thirsty.
it's cool, Channing. It's cool. Keep going.
You know what? This is just a.
But yeah, anyway,
time.
yeah. So
No, it's
Ger-
cool.
yeah, I mean, those brothers. I mean, Kareem, Jaron, and Brandon were all as talented as anyone can be, really. And they all had different skill sets. And I mean, those guys, they dominated Missouri high school basketball. I mean, I still always tell Kareem that I think our high school team would have gave him a run for their money, but.
They were pretty. People like again. This is more of a basketball historian talk because the Rush brothers were.
They had
like you could say whatever because this was before social media. This is before all this stuff. This was in the
so good.
mid to late '90s. Dominant. Like Jaron was first team All American. He played at UCLA before. He just couldn't get things together. Kareem. Obviously played 7 or 8 years in the NBA. Brandon is playing 7 or 8 years in the NBA. So you have 2 guys. All 3 of their brothers, and the oldest one was the best one by far. I think you can still get his highlight tape on YouTube for you guys if you guys want to check it out.
Jaron, I mean, the easiest way to describe Jaron, like his last play, his senior year in Kansas City when they were in the state playoffs before they went to the Final Four, Jaron, it was kind of a back-and-forth game, but they started to pull away kind of the last few minutes of the game, and Jaron stole the ball. And they were up by a few. They were up by a few baskets at this point, but I mean, basically. Jaron goes down and steals the ball to seal the game, windmill dunks, and shatters the backboard. And that's the kind of
I remember reading.
My cousin's here. He's from Kansas. He was at that game.
Yeah.
Oh, you went to Pembroke. How
crazy
crazy is that? Okay, so Channing's brother or Channing's cousin's here, and he went to Pembroke Hill.
Yeah,
but this is what I will say though. I remember reading you're reading like the Scholastics things, and you're trying to figure out like who's good and who's not. Yeah. And I remember reading an article about Jaron, and they were like, Shannon Anderson has just signed a $47 million deal with the Knicks. Jaron Rush is better than Shannon Anderson right now. And he was. Yeah. Legitimately, like you looked at his skill set, his physicality, his body type, his athleticism. He just, he was one of those stories. I think he had a really rough childhood, and I think he shielded his 2 younger brothers, but he was the one that got the brunt of it. And, he was McDonald's All-American. He was everything, but I just think as those demons kind of caught up to him, and you see guys that struggle as their career kind of continues and trying to navigate things. You look at Larry Sanders, the guy that's on our team now, is an individual that, had some things that needed to be addressed, and now he's back in the league after having addressed them. But not everybody is able to get a second chance. Not everybody's able to get a second opportunity, and that was something that was kind of sad to see because he was so good.
Yeah, I mean, we were all in the same. Me, myself, Richard, and Jerome were all in the same high school class, and. I remember, and I wasn't near the caliber of player that Richard or Jaron was, but
were you a shooter?
I was a shooter.
He was a dunker. Don't let him fool you. Josh had bounce.
This is actually interesting.
Josh had bounce.
Richard's one of the only few. He's one of the few people that got to see me before I hurt my knees.
Yeah.
And
Josh had bounce.
I had bounce back at one point.
Did you have a bad back?
He was.
I wasn't that old.
Imagine.
That's Luke.
Okay, now so when we were young,
Luke has a bad bone.
Imagine this. Imagine if we had to imagine like a Rex Chapman or a Dan Marley.
Ooh,
like he was getting legit dunks. Like he was getting dunks every single game.
So you were sneaking. You were that one kid
I
on the white
sneak up
guy
on.
team?
I was the sneaky white guy that caught up on a few people.
You were sneaking on the bros and then look at him like, "What's up?"
Like he was
remember that slow white guy that just sit there and shot all the time. Well, when he gets to the rim, watch out.
But the funny thing about watching Josh play is that it didn't take very long to realize how athletic he was because he jumped super high on his jumper. He was one of those guys that would come off a pick and roll and pop up and fade away, and you're like, this dude's jumping 25 inches just on a fadeaway jumper.
Right.
Like it was kind of like a Rex Chapman.
That's generous.
I'm giving the illustration.
Low
But I
15s.
mean, I could,
Low
back in the
15s.
day, I could windmill and do everything. And
Right, back in the day,
Really?
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Listen,
No,
I
you're
literally
really athletic.
windmilled and I got
Yeah.
tendonitis. Swear. Y'all think I'm playing. This is a true dead-ass story. I windmill in Boston, which is crazy because usually it's really cold in there. It was like hot and moist, and so I'm like
Moist?
humid.
Hot and moist.
It was humid. Listen, it
Channing.
was good for the bones.
Moist is
I
the
thought
worst
we
word
kind
ever.
of
For the
curved that
bones.
red tube conversation a while back.
Listen, it was humid as hell. So listen, the bones was good. The muscles were loosened. I said, yo, the music is going. They were playing my song. I forgot what song it was. It was ratchety. Hey, listen. So listen, Braun always goes ahead of me. So he was banging out. And I'm like, you know what? I'm feeling good. Boom. Windmill off of one leg. Bow. I came down. I said, you know what? That's a tendy. I got
And
tendy.
you know what? I mean, I would say that the lesson in that is don't follow LeBron in
Don't
layup
follow
lines
LeBron.
when he's dunking.
The thing is that sometimes I try not to, but then the problem is we have so many damn athletes. So I'll be
Yep.
behind
Yep.
LeBron, JR, Shump, Derek, and Richard. And now Richard is
Well, hang on.
old as
That's,
far.
I mean, like, I'm going to go ahead and point out that you just put Richard in the athlete.
Yeah.
top of the athlete.
And Richard almost had a dunk on Baines the other night. That was absolutely amazing. Now, Baines is a freaking Viking.
I'm
But
ended
can we
man.
talk
Warrior.
about
You know,
how
you know what the key word in that statement was?
almost?
Almost.
But it was closer. It looked
Talk
good.
about though how it doesn't just end in the layup lines for you, because I know our listeners want to hear.
What happened?
Or
Care
he had a
about
tip dunk. The tip dunk you
Oh,
almost had.
here's the
happened
true
with
story.
that?
This is a true story. Dead ass. I said.
Did you see this, Josh?
I ran
No.
in. No,
Last
no, he
night.
doesn't watch film on us. God, Lord, no. Listen, I ran
I
in
know, it
because
was
I
I
have
said,
plenty of games to watch.
It was
I
on-
promise.
Oh, no.
I have
it was
plenty of
on
games.
Sports Center, not top 10 though.
"Shut up." Was it?
You were number 3.
Shut up. Was it really?
I'm just kidding.
Channing.
Oh, I don't know. No,
I'm
listen.
kidding.
So this is the thing. I never go in for offensive rebounds. Like every team I've been on has been like, Channing, no, just back up. Just get back on defense. So this time I said, oh, nobody's going to box me out. I get a running start. Boom. So I'm running, and I'm thinking to myself, this is how I think during the game. Really quickly, though. Okay, if this ball comes, am I going to get it? No, probably not. But jump up anyways so it looks good. So you justify running in there, right?
Right.
Crazy story. 70% of shots from where they shot it, the
here we
same
go.
side,
Here we go.
go to the other side. This is a stat. Coach Olsen, I love you, dog. Listen, you told me this.
This is what and Dennis Rodman used to study this stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why it was such an amazing rebound.
Amazing. So I run and I jump, and the ball goes back rim, front rim, crazy spin off the backboard and hits my hands. So I'm already on the way down, and I think, oh, shit. I got to try and dunk this. The minute I go to grab the rim, I know this is a no chance. I think this is honest to God in the middle of an NBA basketball game. Channing Frye said to himself, I'm finna get roasted. Hey, that ball had no chance of getting dunked, and you see my reaction. I'm like, damn. So I'm like, look, make it look as bad as possible so that they feel bad for you so they don't roast you until after the game. It works.
We both missed dunks back-to-back games. I just
Oh.
feel like mine was a little bit more different.
Oh, yours is so different. But
Was
the
yours
thing is-
bad?
Yes. Oh,
No,
no.
Baines.
You
I mean,
like-
I cut back door. Braun threw it to me, and Baines was right underneath. I know. I was too high. I'm just saying.
Sure you were, Richard. Sure you were.
No, but it went off the back of the
I
rim.
was too high. I have that problem. I mean,
It went off the back of the rim. It wasn't for
Oh,
it wasn't
okay.
for a lack of like height or I just threw the ball. I was literally underneath the basket. He was right there,
Yeah.
and I just clanged it off the back.
Yeah.
Channing caught it, caught it with
You
the rim in
couldn't even
front of
way
him.
down and
You couldn't even put a piece of paper underneath you. Like, you didn't even like.
I didn't really think I was going to get the ball. I was really like, I'm just jumping up just to jump up. And I was like, oh, shit, the basketball's here. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's a 2. 2s don't win you
It's
games
okay,
anymore.
Channing, I would love to be out there and presented with the opportunity to miss a tip dunk in an NBA game. But
Guess what?
I'll never have the opportunity to even fail at that.
I
So
would-
instead, you get to sit on his podcast.
Right.
and
I can sit on his
roast him
podcast, and make
with
fun
your
of it.
private jet flying
Guess
your
what?
bulldogs around.
3s are worth more than 2. That was my attitude, and well,
It hasn't
even-
changed.
It has not changed. So screw the tip dunk. I'll never do that again.
All right.
Until the
Well,
playoffs,
while
then
we're
we'll
drinking
go.
our Whispering Angel, I think it's only appropriate.
No, we're
Episode-
drinking Screaming Eagle.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We will. I mean, we can
Epis-
plug Screaming Eagle. We don't need any help in our sales department, though. But
Damn.
I will say,
Can we get a sponsor? Can we
Damn. No. Listen.
We're looking for
sponsor for that wine. You better be the sultan of whatever to drink that, boy. We gonna sip that.
you guys can pay us to be on the
pay you
podcast.
guys?
No, listen. We don't have enough listeners. We can have all of America.
The
listening.
tens of
They'll be like,
listeners
yeah,
that are
he's
on
good.
this thing. The
No,
eights.
listen. They wouldn't give us a cork to smell as a sponsor.
So if you could squeeze a drop out of the cork, maybe you can
Yes.
afford it.
With that said, I think a good way to end. I think it was.
Did you have any like
episode-
real basketball questions?
No.
Or, like, do you have any,
No.
like, this is
No,
okay. This is
that's
how you guys.
That's
okay.
how we
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, I said yes to coming on your podcast, having never listened to your podcast, knowing that you probably guys talked about was
you know what's
nonsense.
funny?
Seeing that you guys
I have never
climbing the
listened to
charts
our
of like
podcast.
iTunes.
Yes.
Richard, of course, is he referenced our fantasy football league earlier. Of course, you get a screenshot of like the podcast popularity and him talking and running his mouth about how cool he thinks he is. Look at me, guys! I'm on the top 10 of iTunes.
Well, Bill Simmons, Luke went on Bill Simmons, and I was a little offended that Luke would go on another. I wouldn't call it competing because I feel like our content is far greater. But he goes on a competing podcast and I was like,
This is why Luke can't come on our podcast, though,
Yeah.
because he's dealing with what he's dealing with right now, and to be sitting here drinking Screaming Eagle, aka Whispering
Hey, yeah.
Angel, while they're
No,
struggling.
we don't
a bit.
mention them. They
let's
don't
go ahead
pay us
and
for this.
not put those in the same sentence.
I
Touche.
totally messed
We
up.
can't. Yeah.
But
They're-
speaking of Luke,
Although Whispering
gonna
Angel
edit
is a
that.
very nice wine.
speaking
We're
of Luke,
gonna edit that one out.
bleep-
Edit that out for real.
Speaking of Luke, I think it was
Fuck that.
episode 4.
yeah,
We had Bill
Oh
on our
Lord.
podcast.
Amazing.
And
Did
he-
Richard tell you the story about when he first met Bill
No, please.
in the hot tub?
Oh God.
Was this at the ranch?
Naked Bill?
Yes.
Dude.
He was
I was in the
naked
hot
at
tung
the-
at 6 a.m. one time
Bill's
at Luke's
always
house.
naked at his
And
house.
Bill comes with a towel over his shoulder and showers outside, and I'm hungover.
Oh,
as
outdoor
shit.
showers are the best, though.
And Bill's like, Channing, what are you doing up so early? And I was like, Mr. Walton, I just couldn't go to sleep. Mind you, I had not gone to sleep. He's like, you need to get some rest. You look exhausted. And I'm like, as Bill is like now throwing his towel over this Godzilla head shower head.
Oh, I missed it.
But booty ass naked. I'm like, Mr. Walton, I'm sorry. Like, get to bed. I'm kind of hungry. Well, get a burrito. There's a great spot down the street that will give you that. I'm like, Bill, Mr. Walton. Yeah.
Josh, I was going to go a different direction, but please, let's end with that.
Oh,
no.
wow. You couldn't do that again if you tried. You genuinely could not.
could not.
There was, for everyone that's for,
Listening.
yeah, I mean, for all you, I mean,
The
for
singles,
the
the single, the-
Josh is
three
going to be
people.
on the injury
for the 8
reserve.
people that are listening, you guys are my key witnesses in the suit that I'm about to file against Channing Frye
Listen,
for
your
slapping
lawyers
a
are-
wine cork out of the air and hitting me in the face with it.
I
Wait,
saw it.
Allie was throwing it up in the air, and I swapped it with my left hand. You know I'm not a lefty. I have yet to dribble this ball with my left
Following the
hand.
hand-eye and athleticism that we all saw on the tip dunk attempt.
Oh, wow.
I don't know how that happened.
I don't know how it happened either.
So
I'm sorry.
impressive. He's so apologetic. He
With
feels
us.
so sad.
Listen, do
How
you know
did-
what his
Wait,
lawyers are
real
probably
talk,
like?
real talk. She was going to ask you about.
Lord.
She was going to ask you before Channing, because Channing likes to get us going on.
Yeah, do
on
you have
random topics.
any real like questions that I mean, this is all fun
The-
to sit here and talk about Richard and Channing and all of our nonsense we've done together.
That's all
But-
it is. We talk about our nonsense.
This is actually a real question.
Okay.
Do you have any stories about the ranch
Oh God,
that
no.
Bill raved about on our
Dun,
podcast?
Dun.
This is your last chance to throw these two.
No, you're not throwing me
You
underneath
can say
the bus.
whatever you want.
I am
I don't.
over.
Somebody almost died. Were you at that white party?
Yep.
You were. You were.
Yeah, I mean, so
Nope,
I mean,
I didn't
I
get
will say
invited.
this: they had, do our listeners know what the ranch is? at
Nope.
this
Oh,
point?
yes, they do, because
No,
they
they don't.
listened to Bill's episode.
Well, okay. So me and Luke.
Hang on. Let's just go ahead and say this.
Richard.
bunny ranch?
Richard and Luke owned a house together when they were players. Hang on, you're still a player. When Luke was still.
Sort of.
Hey, you know what? And I was actually, and I'm going to say this on this podcast actually before I go back to the ranch story. The reason that Richard Jefferson is doing the things that he is right now is because when we were 30 or 31, Richard changed his diet. And for all the listeners out there, that are laughing and like they, I see all the memes online like, hey, Richard, I didn't even know he was still playing. But he's making key plays because he changed his diet when we were in our early 30s.
What was the before diet?
A lot of crap.
A lot of crap. It would just eat, drink, and just be merry.
You can stay in shape doing nothing when you're in your 20s or whatever. And so, but like
Burritos.
Richard changed his diet, and that's the reason he's doing
Lifestyle,
everything.
yeah.
People do honestly wonder how in the hell you're doing.
No,
what you're doing.
I
Josh saw that.
Like, I saw it firsthand,
That's
and
fair.
I couldn't have been. That's why I say I'm so proud to see these guys win one, and have these guys contributing the way they are, especially Richard at the age that he is, because he genuinely took control of his career at one point in time, and like it's not like his career was like going a different direction at any point, but he thought ahead. And for all the young players out there that might be listening to this podcast, all 4 of them, I think that diet is a big part of Richard Jefferson's success at the age he is today.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you have anything you want to say about that. I remember watching him do it because hey, when we go out, let's go drink. I want to go get a cheeseburger. No, man, I can't.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, because
why not? No, man, I can't. Like, I can't.
I couldn't do it anymore because but Josh was also there when I was 25, and we would literally drink like
hang on.
We were drinking.
Actually, you know what? When you were 25, I can talk about his pantry that he had in New York.
Oh, was the best.
The pantry was absolutely legendary. And if the pantry has never been mentioned on this podcast, anybody that was in his apartment when he lived in New York will know the pantry because the pantry was stocked.
Okay.
I went home with grocery bags.
There's no other way to say it than the pantry was stocked full of crap.
Okay, wait, real quick, and then I'll set the story real quick. So when I first buy this apartment, I was a kid that didn't really have much. I was a kid that would want to go to his friend's house, and they would have all the good cereals, they'd have all the good candies, they would have all the good shit, and I was still eating free lunch, right? So off of the kitchen, there was a storage closet, and the lady was like, when she was showing me the apartment, she was like, "Yeah, this would be great for a storage closet," and I was like, "No." This would be a great pantry for all the things that anybody's ever wanted. So I put a freezer in there, and then so I told my personal assistant at the time, I'm like, go have fun. I was like, yo, go to Sam's Club, go to shout out, go to Sam's Club.
Give us a free card for a hot dog.
That's a correct shout out, folks.
That's a correct shout out. Go to Sam's Club and
it is.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dog. Listen, what's up with the hot dog coupons?
Shut up.
Oh,
and I was like, go have fun. So he would go get all the candy bars, all the cereals, all the chips. We would have Spam. We would have like Reese's Pieces. We would have Reese's Pieces frozen in my freezer. Yeah. Like you would just sit there and you would just stare at whatever junk that you had.
It was like going to a candy store. Like,
but chips, everything.
But it was more than just candy. It was, but I mean, like, yeah, the Reese's, the Snickers was frozen if you wanted one. There was this. There was, there was the perfect size package of Swedish fish that you like. I can have like 10 of them. It's not gonna hurt me. And then you wind up having 5 packs of them, and then like next thing you know, it's like. But then there's also like throwback candy. There was like fruit roll-ups, and it was like
I'm talking about, but it was
I haven't seen this since I was like 10, man. Where did you guys
it was a walk-in it was literally a walk-in closet that was the door right next to the kitchen because it was a loft, so it was an open format. So you walk in, and there was like you can walk in. There was enough space to put a freezer, like a little sitting like kind of freezer that people put in their garage, so you could put that in there. And it was just literally anything. We had burgers from White Castle, but it was like because I was 23 years old.
Did you have like $1.25 slices of pizza?
You were there. What are you talking about?
I'm just saying. Did you guys get coupons for that? Because that would be awesome if somebody had coupons.
And the only other thing that I can say about Richard's apartment in New York is
the ping pong.
There were some ping pong battles that went on.
Yes, Josh is amazing.
Big ping pong battles.
I always lost.
Yeah, you weren't very good.
I was.
Channing, you were invited.
I made myself invited to that. Listen,
we were all about the every now and then there were certain players that were better than others. We were all about the same. We were all pretty good though because we played a lot over there. Mm-hmm. But then there was 2 guys that would come through, and I'm gonna give a shout out to Luke Walton.
Yes, very good.
That was a step above all of us, and I'm gonna give another shout out to Ricky Barnes. Ricky Barnes,
like the golfer.
Yes, the Ricky Barnes.
Ricky Barnes.
Oh, he's one of us.
He
too.
is.
He went to Arizona with us.
He and Luke. I threw a turkey out his window one time. I was hammered. He got mad at me.
Ricky, I don't know if it was all the rain delays in golf or what, but Ricky was about half a level up from Luke, and it's like they're standing several feet behind the table, and it's like, they're going back and forth.
Luke grew up with his three brothers, and Bill. They used to play all the time.
Yeah,
Ricky was the same thing. He had an older brother, so he played. I didn't start playing ping pong until I bought the table and put it in my loft. So it was like I was still kind of learning. So I got better, and we were playing so much, I got a little bit better. But Josh, I say the top 3 players were you, Jasmine. Remember Jasmine?
Jasmine was good.
You, Jasmine.
Jazz Dogs, shout out New Orleans,
Jasmine,
homie.
he recorded with us one time. But you,
Where's that music?
Jasmine
Yeah, that music
and
is whack as hell.
Luke and Ricky. But yeah, Ricky Barnes, U.S. Amateur Open winner. He actually when he was second in the Open, he partied at the house. As one of our guys. So
That's just to be clear, it's not the U.S. Amateur Open. It's just the U.S. Amateur.
it's golf.
But,
Who
I mean,
cares?
let-
It's
Oh,
golf. Who
wow.
cares? Yeah, we go.
Barnesy.
Throw a shot.
Barnesy,
Ricky.
I love golf,
Ricky,
so you're
Ricky,
safe here, buddy.
We got to
I love
have you
it
on the
too.
podcast, Ricky. We got to have you on the pod.
Oh
It'll
my
be
God.
awesome.
I'm
It'll
sorry
be awesome.
about the turkey.
It's another fantasy football league member.
No, but yeah.
That's awesome.
Ricky is also in our fantasy.
Two-
That
three
Channing
out of
is not.
four. That's awesome.
But
Hey, way to
so
go,
funny
guys.
about but when you were
Hey,
talking
Marcus, we're going to have our own
but
fantasy
you were
football league.
talking. No one can hear Marcus Channing.
Hey, guess what? Marcus actually works for Walmart, which is hilarious.
Are you one of the greeters?
Swear to God.
There
No, he
is
works for
nothing
Walmart, like,
wrong with
online.
working
Like,
for
swear to
Walmart.
God.
Good for
He
you.
actually has it on his iPad. I forgot.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, and thank you.
Thank you.
Now send us that Screaming Eagle.
Yes.
Anyways,
No, you don't want that girl. You
But
take that,
John,
boy.
it's so
You-
funny you talk about the pantry. Do you realize that I can't have any of that in my house anymore?
Yeah,
No.
I mean,
I have
yeah.
kids and I can't have it in my house because I'll eat it. So
Yes.
So right now, literally, like I can't have any of that stuff in my house at all.
poor little Rich.
We talk about
He'll figure it out. I'll
Chocolate
buy it for him.
tacos.
I'll buy it for him when
Yeah.
I retire.
When he retires, trust me, Richard
I-
Richard might go to 0 to 100 real quick.
shout out to Drake,
Thanks, Josh.
sponsor the podcast.
You might see
Josh.
Richard a year after he finally retires or unretires, whatever he winds up doing at some point in time.
Oh,
and you might
geez.
see him a year after he makes his decision, and you'll be like,
I'm gonna get gastric.
Damn,
bypass. I'm gonna
Richard.
get gastric bypass surgery so I can't gain weight. I'm gonna get my stomach stapled. I've already decided I'm gonna do that. I don't care. Judge me as much as you want.
100%.
That's what I'm gonna do. It's about It's about a
I
lifestyle
bought
change.
too many pair of jeans that I am committed to.
I recommitted. I bought a couple new pairs of pants recently, and
Did you?
I was like,
Did you?
these are snug, but I cannot.
I can't get.
I
They're
got it.
snug.
Shout out to 3x1. They make the best
Yes, they.
jeans, dude.
Yes,
No,
Channing,
listen,
we can get paid for these shout-outs. Stop that shit.
Sorry. Hey, 3x1, I'll let you, boy. I love your jeans.
Well, Josh, I hope
Do
this is.
you have any other any other?
No,
active
no,
questions?
no.
Exactly.
This is
Dude,
our
we've been on
question.
for
Okay.
2 hours. Everyone's tired of you.
This is what it is. There's no actual. There's no basketball
Nobody
questions.
cares about basketball. They see that shit every day.
Yes.
They don't know about Josh.
Well,
And your
I don't know if I actually provided any color.
You provide
So
a lot
much. So
more
much
than
color.
you knew.
Yeah.
Than you
Okay.
know. Hey,
All right.
Peter
I want to
pissed
say
in the
something.
closet.
Wait.
I like that one.
I want to say this real quick. Hold on. I don't know. I'm sorry. What is this song? What is this? God,
Richard's
what the
Richard's on
fuck?
his phone doing something.
No,
Folks, I don't know what
I
he's
got
doing.
a
He
phone.
doesn't know what he's
Everybody
doing.
got a phone but me.
Richard's supposed to be tech savvy.
No,
but
I'm not tech savvy. Hold on.
What is,
Listen to the sound. This is our intro.
What does that mean to you? Do you get a little tingly in your groin?
Do you remember that intro?
in your
the sound?
loins?
yeah,
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
of course you do.
Yes, that's NBA on NBC.
yeah,
Yeah.
on NBC.
That
Your
is our
loins.
that is our intro.
Really?
Yes.
Maybe I'll listen
was
now.
a-
There we
High
go.
five.
Yes.
We just went from 10 to 11 listeners.
There we go. We just want subscribers. We don't care if you listen. Just subscribe.
Dude, like I said,
Just
you
subscribe.
have 2 Kronkites that are like follow you around the world. So at least
Crunkites.
10
Kronkites?
to 12.
What are you?
It's
Okay,
like
we gotta go.
Kronky
We gotta go.
disciples.
Allie.
Why?
We gotta go.
Yeah,
Is
we
that
gotta
my
This
go.
one
go?
it
Do
gets
we?
gotta go.
good.
Do
This
we?
is when
That
it
is the
gets
biggest
good.
compliment you
Yes.
can
Do
get
we?
Yeah.
from the everything man.
Renaissance.
Renaissance, whatever.
The governor.
Hey,
That- but that's what it-
all I know is that I've successfully opened 1 bottle of wine on this podcast.
And I have
better
not.
than
Richard failed
better
miserably.
than Richard.
Hey, it was
So, yeah.
It wasn't a screaming eagle.
For
I'll
this
let your
edition
boy.
of Road Tripping with RJ and Channing, I'm
Do you
your
have
host, Allie
subsidiaries?
Clifton, the Renaissance man. Thank you for your
Well,
time.
thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for coming.
Love you
Not
guys.
invited me to nothing. Let go.
Channing, you're invited to be in our fantasy league.
Oh,
No, he's
thank
not.
You.
You just
You
got
heard it here
damn it.
you
first.
just got to get permission from your wife.
Lauren, what's up, girl? You know what's up? I need this.